It's another day. I fancied a bit of a challenge today because I did so well last week. So today I'm on somewhere that I know is very, very difficult. But lock is down. It's usually where I'm standing, it's usually getting wet, so it could be worth a go. It's a bit of a trek to get in here, but we're here now. The wind, unfortunately, is hacking that way towards Enniskillen. Not the best. Normally it's hacking that way. But let's have a go. Let's see what we can do today. And here we are, number 2 pike fishing session of 2020/21. Today I have picked a real nut crusher of a place to come and fish. I know it does fish. I know there's big pike here. I have seen them. I have had them snatch 2-pound hybrids off the line when I'm feeder fishing here. So today I am down on the big loch, the Lower Lough Erne. I'm going to have a cup of coffee first, and then I'll go through some of the rigs I'm using. This place, from the last time I was here, it was equally hard no matter what bait you were using. So I've got a mixture of mackerel, smelt, trout, roach. I've got a mixture of everything kind of out at the minute. Let's see how today rolls, eh? So I started to kick off a little bit. I had a dropped run. The rainbow trout bait came back and it was like Freddy Krueger had fingered it. So it's got whacked back out at the same spot. It was a pretty good take too. It was like I mean, the arm dropped out. I took a lot of line. When I went down I could feel it, and I went to lift in and it was like bump off. So my thinking is that it was only kind of held in its mouth, but it's a run. So it looks like the pike are here. I keep getting asked to go through my traces, how I make traces, what traces I use, what wire I use. I have done videos about this in the past before, but I'm going to go through the traces that I use for dead bait fishing or live bait fishing. Although I don't do any live bait fishing in Northern Ireland because it is illegal. So before anyone loses their shit. I have 4 rods out at the minute. They're all on ledgering tactics. But I'm going to show you now how I make my traces. It's dead easy. Anyone can do this. This is a trace. It's got owner hooks. It's got little silicone covers to kind of keep it nice and tidy. And at the other end, it's a ball bearing swivel, and again a little rubber cover to cover the crimp up. This is all my deadbait traces. As a minimum, they are no shorter than 18 inches. Don't use traces shorter than that. Don't be scared to use a long trace. It's worth it. If you get bit off because you're using a 10-inch trace, then you're an idiot. Don't use 10-inch traces. The only time that I would use a trace shorter than this is if I am fishing with what's called an up trace for like a sunken paternoster float rig. Again, I'll show you that there. I'll go through that there in another video. But so far today we're going to make a standard deadbait trace. Nice and simple, nice and easy. Let's start with the wire. Wire is important. I like American fishing wire. The American fishing wire is pretty much bomb proof. I like it a lot. This stuff is called bleeding leader and it's red. Now, in different depths of water, the spectrum of colours, red is the first spectrum of colour. Red is the first colour in the spectrum to kind of disappear in the water columns. If you go down like past 20 feet or something like that, I think, then red isn't so visible. But that doesn't make a difference, because as we know, pike aren't leader shy. If I can catch pike using a 150 pound solid titanium leader, they're not leader shy. All the pike see is that bait, and in their brain they're going kill, eat. So they don't care what it's attached to. To them it could be a little bit of weed, to them it could be something entirely different. They don't care. So don't worry about using, I just had a wee dump there. Don't worry about using the red wire. If you don't like red wire, there's other colours of it, there's other shades. I mean, this is a surf strand, another type of wire that AFW make. Again, this one is a 60 pound test, this is 45 pound test. Most of my bait traces are either 60 pound test or 45 pound test. That's the minimum sort of strength I use. So how do we start off? Well, again, we've got the trace wire. You have to get the right crimps for the trace wire. So the thickness of this wire matches the size 3 AFW crimps. Now I get all this stuff from Eddie Turner. I'll put a link in the description below. I keep getting the knock, I think it's the wind. I'll put a link in the description below that sends you to Eddie's shop. So you've got the right crimps for the right size wire. What's next? Well, you need hooks. Personally, I like owner hooks. I've always liked owner hooks. They are extremely sharp. You get them in different colours. This is going to look like I've got a bit of a thing for red stuff. But these are owner hooks. This is the lighter wire pattern. There is another pattern of hook that I use. It is a heavier wire pattern. So you have your hooks, you have your wire. What else do you need? Well, you need a swivel. I like ball bearing swivels. Again, as long as you're using a good swivel, a good make a swivel, it doesn't really matter what type it is. I mean, you can use Cox and Raw, you can use AFW itself. There's 1,000 different makers out there that make good quality swivels. Those swivels break at 100 pounds. You're never going to break them. You're never going to be able to pull the damn things apart. So you have your swivels, your hooks, your wire. What else do you need? Well, I like to use, that wind is knocking my bait. I like to use these Gray's Prowler. In the wind there, I apologise for the wind. Gray's Prowler, little rubber clump, they cover the crimps. It just makes your trace a bit tidier. They're not essential. They come in red, they come in black. Again, they are not essential. But I like to use them just because it keeps the trace nice and tidy. You get different ones. You get ones for the crimps, and then you get ones that slide over your hooks, like so. So we've got all our bits assembled, or all our bits sitting here. Let's start with how we make our trace, or your trace, because you're going to be making it. Normally I do this at home because it's a bit easier to do at home, but I'll do it on the bank just to give you a heads up. Start off by just taking a little bit of the wire out. Not an awful lot, just a little bit. Slide on your little rubber crimp cover. So that's slid on. Slide on a little crimp. So you have your rubber crimp cover, your little crimp, and then the next bit is putting the hook on. Just slide these down out of the way. I use what's called a choke knot, so my trace wire won't slip. Sometimes with the plastic coated on wires, if you don't squeeze the crimp hard enough, the crimp might slip. Or if you use rubbish crimps, the crimps can split. The crimps are not strong enough. I use AFW crimps because they're pretty much the best. So take your eye of your treble and put your wire through your treble. Next bit, dead simple. Fold it back. You want to leave about an inch for this process, so just make a little kink in the wire so your hook's sitting on it like this. We then take this tag end and we wrap it around the wire, the body. This is the body, we'll call this the body. Wrap this bit around one time. So it looks like this. We then take this tag end and push it through the eye of the treble. Like this. We then take the tag end and fold it back up. Like this. We then take this tag end and we want to thread it through this hole. Now this can be a little bit fiddly, so this is why I tend to do this at home. So just give me a second here. There you go. That is the choke knot. Once this is tight and the crimp's on it, this will not slip. Hence, the choke knot. The more you pull it, the tighter it gets. So all you do is, I've got one of these little hook knot puller things that I got it free with a magazine, I think it was Angling Times. Long live the Angling Times, because it's gone now. So you put it in the hook like that, in the eye of the hook. I use my old faithful crimping pliers. And I just take the little tag end and I pull it tight. I then take the body of the trace and I pull that tight. So there we go, that is the trace knot part of it done. That isn't going to slip, that's it on tight. Now we slide down the crimp. So there's the crimp on it. We take our crimping pliers and we squeeze. You don't have to squeeze the bejesus out of the crimp. A firm pressure to just your hand strength, that's it enough. You don't want to bust the damn thing. That's it squeezed in, it's not going to move. I then take this tag end and I fold it back. You'll see why I fold it back now in a minute. Then we take our little rubber bit and push it down. Now this rubber bit is going to go over this crimp. Again, this is a wee bit fiddly, so give me 2 seconds. So there you go. That hook is now attached. It is not going to move. We then need to cut out a length of wire. Again, when I do this at home, I have my table marked out for 27 inches. You're going to see why now in a minute. So you take your little, I have a little tape measure here. Because I've already done one joint with this, I'm only going to cut about 26 inches of wire off the spool. Right. So that is the 26 inches. Take your wire cutters. Take your trace wire down. Put your tape measure out the way. So now we have our trace wire that's been cut. Now we have to put the second treble on. Two ways of doing this. There is the knotless knot way, which is what I do, so that's the way I'm going to show you. Now you have to decide how far you want this trace, or how far you want the hooks. Do you want the hooks? You have to do this roughly for the size of bait you're fishing. If you're fishing a big massive eel, you might want to space it out a little bit more. If you're fishing a little roach, you might want to move it together. This is why I have a number of traces already made that will have hooks close together and a bit further apart. That's about right. So your wire's through your eye, you fold it back and wrap it around 5 times. Then you just pinch it, take the tag end, and it goes through your eye of your treble. Again, pull it nice and tight, fold it a bit, and there you go. I'll try and do this without catching myself and getting all stuck with the hooks. There is your knotless knot. That knot, again, is a choke knot. The harder you pull it, the tighter it gets around the shaft of the hook. We then take our crimp or our hook cover, or plastic or silicone or whatever it is, rubber. I think I'll just name them all, get them all in there. And then we just push it over the hook like so. So that's the hooking end done. Now you have to do the swivel end. Take your little crimp cover, slide it on, take your crimp, slide it on. So you have crimp cover and crimp. Then you get your little swivel. I attach the swivels the same way I attach the hook, so it's not going to move. It's another choke knot. You're going to start to think I have a fetish for choking people. So we put our swivel on the line, or on the wire, and we create a tag end, bend it up, then wrap it around the body of the trace, like so. Put this through the eye of the swivel, like so. We then take this tag end and we bend it back up. So it's like that. The tag end then gets put through the hole again, or through this little loop. It's a little bit fiddly, so just take your time. You're not in any rush. This is why I do this at home, because again you can take your time, have a cup of tea, chill out, maybe even have a whiskey. Again, pull the tag end nice and tight, pull the body nice and tight. So there is your choke knot. Slide your crimp down. Crimp it. And that is it secure. That is not moving. You can fold the tag end back down. Slide your little silicone thing up. And there you have it. How to make a deadbait trace. If anyone's got any questions, ask me in the comments below and I'll get back to you guys. But that's a simple one, how to make a deadbait trace. I should really start telling people, you know, go to vlog number, whatever. There's an instruction in there, but I needed to make a new trace anyway because I stripped the stuff apart. The good thing about owner hooks and these little silicone sleeve things, once this trace is destroyed, and it will get destroyed if a pike takes it, the pike kink it and wreck it and strip the plastic off it. Once it's destroyed, you can cut the trace, take off the rubber sleeves and the hooks and the swivel, and you can recycle most of it. So there we have it, guys. How to make a deadbait trace. Remember how I said that you don't really get boat traffic here? Well, when you do, it's definitely on the unusual side. Here we have a little boat pushing a digger on a barge. I have no idea where it's going, but thankfully it's not digging up or dredging in front of me. Or wait, it might be doing that. I hope it's not digging and dredging in front of me. But the wind's just pushing him down the loch. We definitely get the weird ones here. We have caught one. We are off the blank mark. Just let me get my unhooking tools out. It's only a little jack. And it's still angry. It managed to somehow tangle itself up in wire, in trace, in line, and it's got me. It's tagged me a couple of times. So there we have it, the first little pike of the session. Not a very big one. That took a whole rainbow trout. That took the bait that was smashed up earlier on. So let's get this one put back. Come on boy, you're in the wrong place. Oh, for the love of God. Right, swim to deeper water. That's a good boy. Just gone 10:05, so that means breakfast time. I have no chorizo, I only have bacon, so we're going to have a bacon buddy and a mug of coffee. Just recast 2 of the rods after one of them had a drop back run. The little whole mackerel, the whole joey mackerel, yeah, it was shredded, so something's in the area and it's picking up the bait, which isn't bad, doesn't bother me. It means that there's fish there, which is good, because we like fish, we like catching them. Just means that when it comes time to, I just wish they'd hold on to the bait a little bit longer. Today's bacon of choice is Kennedy bacon. This is gourmet shit. None of your crap here. Proper bacon. £3 a packet. So let's get some bacon on the go and have a sandwich. Oh, I'm also spoiling myself with brioche buns. No point messing around. This physique needs to be fueled. Okay, this rod's now went. Okay, there's something on it. It feels a bit better. I think it's off. I think it's off. Nope, it's off. It's off. Yeah. Something's picked up my little smelt. Had a wee pop. So what I'll do is I'll put it back out again and see if anyone wants to come back at it. Just had a run on the smelt rod. Bait came in very slashed, so there's fish here. That's quite disappointing. That's the third dropped run. And I was trying to cook breakfast, so back to cooking breakfast. Here we have the eel head, cast about 40 yards out. The eel head is not popped up, it's just the normal eel head. Behind those behind this rod you've got the two rods in the pod. One is a popped up salmon par, the other is a half mackerel. There's there's home for today. And then we have that rod, which is a popped up roach, again about 45 yards out. The further we go down this way, the shallower it gets. The further we go out towards these trees, there's like a deep trench that runs like in here. So these two rods are fishing in deeper water, and this rod here is just fishing on the normal sort of depths. They're keeping the rod tips high because there's, you know, as you can see by the bank, it's all boulders and rocks, and these boulders and rocks are all encrusted with zebra mussels. So we have to keep the lines high, otherwise we risk getting them damaged by the zebra mussels. Around this bend we're into the full force of the wind. I don't think you can quite see the white horses coming down the loch, but because of the way the land is here, there's a bit of a hill behind it. That's kind of keeping us a little bit out of the main guts to the gusts of the wind. It's still too rough to put a bait boat out, but what a beautiful day, eh? This is why we come out fishing. Check out this for scenery. Update. I found out what was hitting my baits. It wasn't a pike, it was a cormorant. Noticed something was wrong when the braid started lifting out the water, and then I looked up and it was attached to a big bloody cormorant. That's the problem when you're fishing places that are, you know, less than 18 to 20 feet deep. Cormorants can get down that far. Now I have a cold bacon sandwich because I had to wrestle with a fucking cormorant. Just to clarify, for all you twitchers, I did not hurt the bird, I unhooked it and I let it go. I want to repeat, in no way did I hurt the fucking bird before I get reported to YouTube for endangering animals or some crap. A little bit of drizzle, but apparently according to the weatherman, if you believe the weatherman, that's going to burn off after about 12 o'clock. So, fingers crossed it burns off like the weatherman says, and everything is... It's meant to be dry after 12 o'clock, but not so much like it's meant to be overcast and windy. Wind and overcast I can deal with. Torrential rain, not so much. But let's eat this, drink my coffee, and see if I get any more fish. I mentioned earlier on, I'm just getting a little, the wind's blowing the bobbin or drop arm. Okay, I mentioned earlier on use of up traces. This is an up trace. This is designed to fish what's called a sunken float paternoster rig. You have one of these little things, which is a Fox helicopter thing for pike angling, and it sits on your up trace and doesn't move. There's a swivel here that you have your lead link tied to. Typically when I fish like this rig, my lead link is about 3 feet in the shortest, 6 feet in the longest. When you're fishing with a 6 foot lead link, it becomes difficult to cast. So if I'm using a 6 foot lead link, I'm using the bait boats and stuff like that there to get the bait into position. So you have your up trace. This is 90 pound surf strand, AFW surf strand. You then have to put on your normal trace, your hook trace. Now here I'm going to show you my hook trace for this now. The hook traces for this typically are shorter than the normal bait traces. You know, we're talking a trace maybe at the shortest 10 inches. So this is a 12-inch hook trace. We can see that it's just tied to a clip. It's tied again by a choke knot and a crimp. And the only thing that's special about this trace is it has a little rattling bead. So if you were fishing somewhere and this would rattle and the noise would attract the pike. I'm not sure how close you'll see this, but as you can see by the scrapes and scars on it, it definitely attracts the pike. So this is your hook trace. You attach your hook trace to your swivel, like so, and then you slide your big rubber sleeve up over it. So you have your up trace going up to your sunken float and your bait trace kind of dangling around. Now if you were using a live bait, the live bait can swim around, up and down, and it's okay. I mean, the thing about an up trace, the thing you want about an up trace is if the bait swims up to the trace, the top of the trace, let us see if I can tang this around a bit. If the bait swims up to the top, the very, very top of the trace, and the pike snatches the bait, then there's still wire in its teeth, so it can't bite you off. This is why rigs like sunken float paternosters, you always use an up trace. Even float ledgering, use an up trace. It's not worth the risk. You know, this trace here on its own would be far too short to fish if I was just fishing with a ledgering rig like I am today. So this is your trace for your up trace. This is your bait bit with your little rattle. This is your up trace. So now you have to get this trace to float up. You have to get it to stand up underwater. there's a variety of floats. You can get cigar ones. This one's a 40 gram float. That means it takes 40 grams of buoyancy or 40 grams of weight to sink it. Now typically if I'm using a 5-ounce lead, never an issue, not a problem at all. But excuse me, that's a 40 gram float. You have other things like that there. That there's the body of a drifter float. That takes roughly the same as this. You know, so it's a lot smaller, but it is as buoyant as this. And then you have grain foam like this here. Now these are soft. This is not so soft, and this is like a hard foam. So it depends where you're fishing. If I'm fishing somewhere where I'm liable to end up standing on the damn thing, then I'm going to use the soft foam. If I'm fishing somewhere that, you know, you've got clean banks, you're going to see everything, you're not going to get it tangled in the net, then these floats will be used. I also use these floats if I'm doing what's called the, well, I call it the anti-zebra mussel rig. I will put this float on my main line, and it will run between, I fish with 2 feet of rig tubing, so that the mono that's on the bottom is protected by the rig tubing, so that the zebra mussels can nip as much as they like into the rig tube, but it won't damage the main line. Because the rod tips are kind of kept high, the line goes off the bottom. If, however, there was like a big snag or a hump, or like the level of the lock went down kind of quickly, you would have to make your line more buoyant. So what I would do with my main lines, I would tie on a stop knot about, you know, about 20 feet from the end tackle, and then I would slide this on the main line. So when you cast out, or you bait boat out, or you get the bait into position, however you get the bait into position, the lead sinks, the bait's on the bottom, this is up above the bottom. You can tighten it down as normal to the lead. It doesn't affect the bite indication at all. All this does is take your bait, your main line, off the bottom. It runs to the stop knot, it's stopped there, and if the pike picks up the bait and makes a run for it, your drop arm goes, your line goes out as normal. Because you've got the stop knot like set about 20 feet, you're never in a million years going to allow a pike to run 20 feet. So the pike's never going to feel this. I mean, this provides next to no resistance in the water. All it's doing is keeping your main line off the bottom. I'll put a drawing, excuse my artwork, it's done kind of on the hop. I'll put a drawing of exactly what I'm talking about for both the sunken float paternoster rig and the anti-zebra mussel rig. You know, if you guys would like to see me do more in-depth talking about the rigs that I use, you know, please let me know in the comments. My pike fishing is very, very simple. You know, I would pop up baits, yes. I would have baits hard in the bottom. I like free running ledger rigs. I like simple fishing. I don't like complicated fishing. You know, I know guys that fish with, you know, I know somebody that's trying a semi-fixed bolt rig type thing for pike fishing. Now personally, I don't like any resistance on my line at all. As soon as that pike picks up that bait and moves, I don't want the pike to feel anything. It's in its mind, it's got its lunch and it's about to go away. It doesn't realise that you're winding the rod down till you feel the weight of the fish, then lifting up. But that's it. That's how sunken float paternoster and anti-zebra mussel or snag, anti-snag rig, that's how I fish with those. I don't know how much more I could explain it, but I was asked to kind of run through these things. I also was asked to run through my basic ledger rig that I did last weekend, or the last time I was out. Because of the wind, it was kind of difficult to explain. When I get back to my house tonight, I will run through the same rig, but I'll run through it in the garage. So there'll be no wind, there'll be no noise, and people can see the basic run rig basic ledger rig that I use. I'll also put up a picture, like a drawing of the basic ledger rig. You know, it's easy fishing, it's not complicated. You know, there's no hinge stiff rigs and all that sort of bollocks. It's easy fishing. With pike fishing, it's a hook, it's wire, and it's a strong main line. You know, it's as simple as that. It's gone. It's just gone 5:30. I've had nothing except for that one jack and a cormorant. The weather forecast says about 6:30, 7. There's going to be lots of rain coming in, so I think I might diddy mow and go home. It's been a good day. I've got out, done some fishing. Haven't exactly caught Lough Erne monsters, but wasn't a blank. Had a good breakfast. Didn't expect to catch a cormorant. It's amazing how sitting outside in the sunshine, well, not the sunshine, but sitting outside kind of takes away the stress and all the bullshit. You know, there's times where I could be sitting and like watching TV or something, or looking on, you know, Facebook or Twitter, and some social justice warrior or some nonsense would pop up on the like whatever, and you'd be there getting, you could get kind of angry with it, kind of annoyed, and I'd be kind of sitting thinking, you know, oh, I could have a rant about that there the next time I'm fishing. But when you think about it again, some of the stuff you think is, well, that's just you know, stupid. You don't need it. I think in today's society we are very much slaves to people's feelings. I don't get that. I don't get how people, instead of just relying on fact, people are, no, well, I feel like I should be getting something. You know, feelings. Okay, don't get me wrong, feelings and emotions are important, and that's a good thing, you know, to like be empathetic to people's feelings. You know, if somebody's having a bad time and they're a bit down, you know, a comforting word, you know, isn't a bad thing. But if you're constantly pandering to somebody who's emotionally all over the place, it's just hard work. There's only so much of it you can do before you end up thinking, you know, the hell with this, I'm going. But it's been a good day. I have enjoyed myself. I think I might get out a couple more times this week, so you might see more content this week. But anyway, until the next time, lads. Hey there guys, this is just a quick addition to this video. I've been speaking with Mr. Pete Foster. Now, I'm sure there's some of you out there that's wondering, who is this guy? Well, Pete's the guy that invented the drop arms I use for the pike fishing. He is the head man at Advanced Predator Products. I'll put his link in the description below. But what we've agreed is that if you want to buy a set of the drop arms from Pete, you can enter code DSAA, short for David Scobie Angling Adventures, and what Pete will do is he'll waive the postage fees for you. So it's my way of helping Pete out because he's a good guy, and it's my way of helping you guys out because I spoil you. Anyway, I put his link to his website and his Facebook and everything in the description below. Cheers guys.